Amy, let me tell you about a magical place that is so exactly designed to be enclosed space, year-round fun for the whole family that I bet you already know what I'm going to say before I even say the name. Let's say it together on 3. 1, 2, 3. Great Wolf Lodge. You got it, Amy.
My kids loved Great Wolf Lodge when we went. You probably already know that it has a huge indoor water park with a wave pool, lazy river, a bunch of massive water slides. But then your pack can hit the other attractions because, wait, there's more.
Great Wolf Lodge has adventure-packed attractions like Magi Quest, a live-action game kids can play throughout the lodge, plus the Northern Lights Arcade. Spent some quality time there, so your kid who loves the lazy river and your kid who loves fantasy games will both have a great time.
Great Wolf Lodge also offers great dining options and complimentary daily events like nightly dance parties, all under one roof. Unpack the car once and you're settled in to have fun. And with 22 lodges across the country, you're always a short drive away from adventure.
We've both had such great times at Great Wolf Lodge, so bring your pack together at a lodge near you. Learn more at greatwolf.com and strengthen the pack. Here's just a sample of this month's bonus episode, which you can get by signing up for What Fresh Hell Plus at whatfreshhell.supportingcast.fm. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this bonus episode of What Fresh Hell, Laughing in the Face of Motherhood. This is Margaret.
And this is Amy. And today we're talking about the worst jobs we ever had. Not parenting.
I will say,
we love
parenting is not my worst job, but I will say that all the jobs that I've had that are not podcasting with Amy Wilson have kind of stunk. Like, I mean, I'm glad this isn't called the best jobs. They've been horrible, basically. I mean, even the jobs I kind of wanted. I mean, I laugh all the time that there's an old joke in freelance writing where it's like, oh my God, I got to get a job. Oh my God, I got to get a job. And then you get a job and it's like, I don't want to write something. And that's kind of how I always felt about, like, I would get a job and be like, write the Bratz movie. That sounds like a terrible thing to have to do.
It sounded like a great idea until it happened. Yeah,
like I wanted a job so badly. Amy, what was your first ever job? I actually know the answer. Can I play I Know Amy Wilson So Well?
Sure.
You were a 13-year-old church secretary, correct?
I was 14, but yes, when I was 14 years old, and this was not my worst job. I loved this job. I worked 3 days a week after school. At the church rectory. I'd answer the phones starting at like 4:00 because the other secretary was going home at 5. She was, putting the cover over her typewriter and stuff. And then
the dust jacket over the typewriter, people.
And so I would track
the oldie-timey days.
I would track who gave what for the collection. And during Catholic Mass, they pass around like a basket at one point and collect. You don't give money once a year. You give money sort of every week. And I would track that, which is a lot for a 14-year-old. And I also typed the bulletin that you get every Sunday. Like, I can't believe they had me in charge of the stuff. And then I answered the phone and I answered the door. And and the priests had a cook come in and cook for them, like a really... not a chef. She was like a really good cook, a woman who lived like down the street. She'd come in and cook, and I would have like gourmet meals with the priests it was just like having like 6 grandfathers. They wanted to know everything about what was going on at school, who said what to who. They'd come to see me in plays and bring me flowers. Like it was like the best job ever.
Do you remember what your salary was at this job?
$3 an hour.
Yeah, I was going to say that tracks.
$3.
I remember having a babysitting job once, and I babysat all the time, and I made $2 an hour as a babysitter. And I once went for 7 hours to someone's house. Like, it was like 4 p.m. So I played with the kids all afternoon. Then I made them dinner. Then I hung out with them until I got them down, gave them baths, put them down at 11 o'clock at night. And I definitely remember the parents coming in and handing me $14 cash and thinking, this isn't it. Whatever's going on, this isn't it. Like, for $2 an hour, I don't know what I was ever thinking. What a ridiculous rate of pay. I mean, it was like the 80s. I mean, but $14, like I couldn't even buy a top at Limited Express. Like, what was I doing with my life? And I definitely... at that point was like, I got to get out of the game. Like, I don't know a lot about economics, but I know that $14 after the amount of harrowing work I have put in chasing around 3 kids for 7 straight hours, this is not worth it.
I was just thinking about this yesterday. Like being an old deluxe has its privileges, right? I was listening to it was an episode of Maintenance Phase, and they were talking about how Elizabeth Taylor, okay, so I won't get too off track, but Elizabeth Taylor was a child movie star, and she was making $15,000 a year for Warner Brothers. But one of the hosts was like, so I looked this up, that's actually $660,000 in today's cash. So she was actually like fabulously wealthy. I'm like, but was she though? Like, did $15,000 ever sound like a lot of money? Like, sure, $2 when we were kids is worth like maybe $12 now, or I know, who knows, but $2 still sounds like $2, doesn't it? Like it sucks now and it sucked in
it's
the
a
80s.
Great point. You can, if you want to quit the podcast and pursue a PhD in economics, I feel I would read this thesis statement. Like, because $2, I would like to know, like in 1985, what is $2 in today's money? It can't be that much. Maybe it's $5. No. I don't know what it is, but it wasn't enough to buy anything I wanted. $14.
Yeah.
So I got out of the game and I moved on up to Baskin-Robbins Scooper.
Okay, and was that a best or worst job you've ever had? Which side of the fence is that?
It was a neutral job. It wasn't a great job. It was easy. I always like, as you know, interacting with strangers and weirdos. And so I like a customer-facing job in a weird way.
What's your deal?
And I was, 17. So nobody really like screamed or yelled at me, and there was always a manager on duty, so I didn't have a lot of like, if there was trouble, it was someone else's problem.
31
My only
flavors.
job was basically like scoop the ice cream.
You have 31 flavors, and it wasn't your problem if there were only 29 flavors that day. Just like look at the board. It's not your fault.
And also talk to the manager. Like I'm 16.
Who's here?
Like, I don't know anything.
Right.
I did get into making ice cream cakes. I can still write on my kids. The funny thing about having a job when you're a kid is sort of like, we've talked about this, like, when does the mom come? Like, you think that there's like an artisan in the back who writes happy birthday, Amy, on the cake, right? Like, they're not just going to hand me, a rando 16-year-old, the piping bag and be like, start writing happy birthday, Amy. Like, certainly that's a skilled labor job that you outsource. No, they just handed me the piping bag and they were like, do your best.
Oh my gosh.
So writing happy birthday, Amy was my job. And I took a lot of pride. I would put the little flowers on. I mean, I know my way around a piping bag at this point.
That just reminded me, like, it just awakened a like terrible job memory. You know, the things that I've repressed from the terrible jobs I've had as a struggling actor. I had many. You know, I had like 2 jobs a week, and they'd be random, and I did all kinds of stuff. And the birthday cake decorating thing, I just remembered this. I was working for a company doing sort of like live performances, like, you know, Santa in malls kind of shows. And sometimes I was in the shows, and sometimes it was like, can you please call the Mall of Utica and see what time they want us to be there? And can you type this rider? Like, I just was doing it all. And at some point we were doing a live event.
The glamour of show business.
Right. The glamour of show business. And at some point we were preparing for a live event, and the woman who I was working for was like, you do calligraphy, right? And like, I had done calligraphy, as in like my parents brought me a calligraphy pen for Christmas. Like,
let me just give you again,
a moment.
Here's a Wayback Machine. Every kid, every female child in the 80s did calligraphy.
Calligraphy,
every one.
Right, every single one.
Calligraphy pen, and then you would get a book where you would trace the letters in calligraphy. So yes, I really made some unsightly wedding invitations in the day because my mom would be like, Meg does calligraphy. And then, let me tell you.
Right, it was like bullet
just
journaling.
Just because you own the pen doesn't mean you do calligraphy, people.
So they handed me the pen, and it was for, I'm remembering more as I'm telling the story. It was for the Waldorf Astoria. I remember this because here's a trivia for you. It's actually the Waldorf like equals Astoria. It was back then. It was 2 lines, 2 hyphens on top of each other, like an equal sign. Waldorf equals Astoria.
The more you know.
And I had to do calligraphy. And so, so I'm doing like filling out certificates and whatever with people's names. And I remember like, this is not going well. Like I am relying on my old, mediocre calligraphy, distant, decade-old abilities, trying desperately to awake them and knowing it's not going well. And then the look on my boss's face when I handed those certificates to her. And she was like, I thought you did calligraphy. I'm like, I did. I did do calligraphy. I'm eager to please.
You're like, look at the clock, lady. It's the 1980s. Everybody does calligraphy. It doesn't mean we're good at it.
God, no, this was more like 2000. Well, it wasn't 2000. No, it was probably like 1995. Like I definitely hadn't thought about this in several years at this point. Oh boy, I overpromised. So that was one of the worst jobs I ever had.
I also got roped into doing, some wedding invitations. And there was a complicated, do you remember this? You'd take a ruler and like in pencil, you would draw the calligraphy lines because you needed a top and a bottom and a dotted middle line.
Sure.
And let me tell you, these were unsightly. Then I would erase the lines in the calligraphy. I mean, some poor bride cried herself to sleep when she saw these invitations that I did. We don't usually focus on learning in the bonus episodes, but one thing you should take from this is if someone says they do calligraphy, ask follow-up questions. Ask to see an example of their work.
Right, because they might be. This is the worst jobs you ever had episode. Worst calligraphers we ever were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was my big high school job was, I did make really outrageous like sundaes and cakes for my friends who came in. I once tried to make a cake that had all 31 flavors. Didn't turn out great because you don't want the sorbet right next to the mint chocolate chip. Like it doesn't actually taste good, but I did it. Was just a sample of our bonus episode. To hear the entire thing, go to whatfreshhell.supportingcast.fm and sign up for What Fresh Hell Plus today.